how can people rise above or really connect or understand that happiness does not lie in being acknowledged all the time with everyone, in being selfless and not selfish?
If a person can recognize one's nature as supreme happiness, absolute peace, Sachidanand, then there's nothing more that comes. Everything else is a means, this is the goal. So, see, some fundamental clarity is very important, and which is where the study comes into play. Whether you study through a book or you study through like a beautiful podcast that you are doing, or today there are so many methods, ebooks are there, and there are conversations and many things. So, one can learn. Certain fundamentals have to become very, very clear to us, that where is happiness? What am I truly seeking? What is the means to achieve what I truly seek? Just very basic questions. I always tell people 3 fundamental questions we should have clarity about. What do I really seek in life? From where do I get it? And how do I get it? So one thing that I'm aspiring for getting certain marks or certain admission in a particular institution or a job, or creating a startup or becoming successful as an entrepreneur, or those are ways and means. I am seeking happiness through that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of our podcast series, Happiness Hour. I would like to welcome today and Hariom Swami Swatmananda from Chinmaya Mission. He has been my guru. It was under his teachings and tutelage that I started even delving into the spiritual world. I started reading the Bhagavad Gita and various scriptures when he was I think, in his early 20s, and I was in my 40s, and that's the power of him. He comes with a tremendous amount of depth of knowledge and experience and wisdom that touches your heart. But before I go into the spiritual side of him, I would like to share a little about Swamiji. He is a commerce and software engineering graduate. However, he chose to leave all that. I mean, while of course knowledge is never left, but he chose to serve Chinmaya Mission since 2000. He's dedicated his life to that. He expounds the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta through his talks on Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and other texts of Vedanta and Bhakti through camps, meditation, retreats, interactive sessions, and discussion with youth and adults. And he has this unique ability to connect with anyone across any age, gender, nationality, culture. He simply is one of the most approachable, well-read, humble, multifaceted persons that I've come across. He serves or speaks at several corporates like Piramal's, Reliance, Mahindra and Mahindra, Tata Motors, Toyota, PwC, and more. He's also a playwright and has written and directed 2 theatrical performances, Adrishya and Just Like That, which are based on, once again, the scriptures and to inspire the youth to to get inspired to build self-awareness and self-knowledge. He has also conceptualized and executed the first outdoor Vedantic vision park called Chinmaya Pradeep. It is a place to visit and see, definitely, on the life and vision of Swami Chinmayananda. Thank you, Swamiji, for agreeing to be a part of this. As you know, the Happiness Hour is about exploring the different perspectives on happiness and how ultimately all of us seek happiness. Somewhere, most of us get lost, but Lord has his ways to bring us back. So I would like to, you, however, took this leap into spiritual teachings at a very young age. What was the trigger for that decision?
So Hariom everyone, and thank you Ashuji for this wonderful opportunity to reflect on happiness, and also thank you for the introduction. So as you said, I was studying my commerce and software programming, and I have been in the Chinmaya Mission from my childhood. My grandfather was one of the founder members of the organization itself when it started in Chennai. He was he was in a group who approached Swamiji and Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji to start the organization. So Swamiji has been coming to our house for quite some time, and I've grown up having memories, being with Swamiji and spending some time and learning, etc. So through Balvihar, through Chinmaya Yuva Kendra, I've been growing up. But for me, the game changer was when I started understanding Vedanta more deeply. So three important aspects for me to take this decision was, one is the life of Swami Chinmayananji itself, that how he transformed from an agnostic to a believer, to taking sannyas and then committing 42 years of his life to share this knowledge. So the power of Vedanta I saw in his life, and how one man can do so much for the whole society. That inspired me. Second was the knowledge of Vedanta is very, very logical. My mother is a Jain, so I had actually explored Jain Dharma also before, but I found Vedanta to be more logical, appealing, answering my questions. And third was that this knowledge by itself, what it can do. When a person comes to understand Vedanta, it is about I, not about anything else. We know many things about other things, but we don't know about I. So when I studied Vedanta, very logical it was for me to understand and discover what Vedanta said about the personality, and about the personality, the supreme truth. So this really touched my heart, and I felt that I belonged here. So I was planning to do MBA and MS and many things, but in front of Vedanta, if a person can recognize one's nature as supreme happiness, absolute peace, Sachidanand, then there's nothing more that comes. Everything else is a means, this is the goal. So why not directly go to it? So that's how I took the leap.
You're very blessed, but it takes a lot of courage to take that leap and not just, know it, but accept that everything is a means and this is the goal. Is there a right age or time? I can see your answer, but I think it'll be helpful for our audience to know, is there a right time or age to start this journey?
So yes, this question is a quite an important question, because many people do think that spirituality should be practiced as a post-retirement plan. And there are many wrong notions about spirituality, that it will take you away from life and this is not the appropriate time. But if you want to understand the vision of Vedanta and Hindu culture, the vision of Vedanta is very simple. The time is even before your conception as a child.
Okay.
And today we all know how the thoughts of the mother affect the child in the womb. Today there's enough of prenatal education, classes, many things which are done. So scientifically also one understands that the mind of the mother, her emotions, her thoughts, her belief systems will also affect the child. So in Chinmaya Mission, we have now started Garbha Samskar classes also. And when the child is born, then there are Shishu Vihar. So from 6 months onwards, actually our syllabus for 6 months old to 4 years olds, we have infants and toddlers, two different groups. And the mother comes with the child. The mother can't leave the child and go. The mother and the child both come, and there is yoga, there are crafts, there is chanting, there are various stories. The mind of the child is empowered. So slowly from childhood onwards, see, before birth we don't have control, but after birth there's a lot that one can do. As a child, yes, it's important to expose the children to these samskars, because the mind is very, very malleable at that age. Psychology says 5 years are the first 5 years are the formative years of the child. So in first 5 years, if you are able to have the samskars of spiritual knowledge, it will go a very long way. Because see, what psychology also says is the self-esteem is made in those 5 years. And if the child is made to feel happy, loved, connected to a higher source, the strong foundation of spiritual life is laid right there. That will continue. Then rest of the things, whether teenage, youngsters, all that is no doubt very important. Now, if this is not possible, then I would say as early as possible one should get into spirituality, not postpone it. Because it's the art of living. And when will I learn the art of living? Not when I'm going
Not
to
when I'm ready to go. Thank you. This is really helpful because, yes, there are so many myths surrounding spirituality, and where people think that they have to renounce their worldly relationships and comforts. And I still remember, one of the days, one of your discourses, when I came and asked you a question, and I said, Swamiji, I want peace. I was really feeling very fed up and pressured with everything. And you told me, renounce the I, leave the wants, and the peace is there. And that statement had such a profound impact on me that it was so much more about letting go of the ego and the desires and not the world.
correct. Very true.
Now, you're one of the most dynamic leaders of Chinmaya Mission, who's always innovating contemporary ways of connecting with people. What do you see as the most common reason for stress and unhappiness?
See, one of the common reasons for stress, I would say, is a very deep selfishness and a material outlook. So I always give many formulas for people to remember, understand.
Yeah.
So the formula is our stress is directly proportional to our selfishness. By selfishness, I don't mean that self-love. One needs to take care of oneself. One needs to also do things for oneself. There is no doubt. But at some point, when we see that a person is so obsessed with oneself that one does not take into account the society, the people around, is not sensitive enough, and is blinded by that selfishness. Unfortunately, today the culture is becoming more individualistic and self-centered, I would say. And so that creates a lot of pressure. Right from childhood, if you see, a child is pressurized to perform a lot, not because the intention is that the child must become successful and happy. The focus is the parent's ambition is to be lived through the child. So where is the selflessness to even discover what is the child really made for? Many people tell me, Swamiji, work pressure is very high. We are very stressed because of that. Honestly, if work pressure is there as functional pressure of doing work, it is not stressful. That one can recover through rest also. Body will recover. The pressure is the psychological pressure, where one is equated. If I become this, if I achieve this, then only I am worthy. Then only I am successful. Then only I have a name in society. Then one has created those equations in the mind and one has defined one's self-worth through that. So Vedanta says, reduce that. And the material outlook. Everything has to be reduced to externalities. Instead of we lifting ourselves to subtler levels, somewhere in the name of logic or science, we think that everything has to be provable externally. And we have to quantify it, make it tangible, make it visible. Now that outlook beyond a point will not allow me to connect to subtler aspects of my own personality and of this creation. So then we get stressed out. So on one hand, there is selfishness. On the other hand, I'm not able to connect to something higher. So I think these are the two very major factors that contribute to stress. Rest of them are manifestations of these two.
So in a world that puts so much pressure on proving it and being acknowledged, everything, I mean, the number of emails that I get about get this award, and at the bottom of each one of them says, pay this much to get it. So now they've also made a business of it, saying, okay, if you get now, but the fact is that they've cracked the code of feeding into that insecurity and making money out of it. How can people rise above or really connect or understand that happiness does not lie in being acknowledged all the time with everyone, in being selfless and not selfish. So, there's a constant contradiction that they are bombarded with. Uh, how can the youth, especially, and it's not just the youth, this really goes even with parents. If you see, it all starts within the family and then keeps perpetuating in the society.
So, see, some fundamental clarity is very important, and which is where the study comes into play. Whether you study through a book or you study through like a beautiful podcast that you are doing, or today there are so many methods, e-books are there, and there are conversations and many things. So, one can learn. Certain fundamentals have to become very, very clear to us, that where is happiness? What am I truly seeking? What is the means to achieve what I truly seek? Just very basic questions. I always tell people three fundamental questions we should have clarity about. What do I really seek in life? From where do I get it? And how do I get it? So one thing that I'm aspiring for getting certain marks or certain admission in a particular institution or a job, or creating a startup or becoming successful as an entrepreneur, or those are ways and means. I am seeking happiness through that. I'm very happy our podcast is called Happiness Podcast, because that is something that we have to remind ourselves, that our goal is happiness. And if the goal is happiness, how can the means be stress?
Now that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
The goal is happiness, the way has to be happiness. So what do I seek? Happiness. From where do I get it? I may get temporary pleasure from the world outside, but I will not be able to get that lasting satisfaction, which is what I truly seek. Permanent happiness is what I seek. I don't want misery. I don't want sorrows. If I understand that Atyantika Dukkha Nivritti, Paramananda Prapti is what we seek. So it will not come from outside. Then I have to learn to turn within. And how do I turn within? There are so many beautiful ways. People think that turn within means close your eyes and don't experience anything and just sit in meditation. And then they say, oh, this is meditation, very difficult for us. Our mind wanders. So spirituality is not my cup of tea for now. But our culture says, while doing work, you can experience supreme happiness and turn within. Simple thing in the Gita, Bhagavan says, do your swadharma. Which today in management language, people say, do what you love what you do. Simple thing like that, if I can practice, I can find out what am I really made for, engage in it. It will give me so much of joy and happiness. And if I somehow can't do that, suppose I'm in a wrong profession for whatever reason, there may be different compulsions. So if I can't do what I love, start loving what you do. Why should the result matter so much? Like you said, why should approvals and validation and people's recognition matter more than the process? So simple ways to turn within. The youth can learn that, everybody can learn that do what you love what you do is one secret of happiness. Do one thing at a time is another secret of happiness, which today a lot of people say as mindfulness. So mindful eating, mindful talking, mindful walking, everything mindfully. And it's interesting that the human being has to be told whose glory is the mind. If I don't apply my mind, I am not a human being. I am worse than an animal, because animal is more physical endurance than me. So mindfulness, doing one thing at a time with full absorption. Multitasking is a big myth. One of the reasons why people go through stress is because they try to do too many things at the same time. Multiple projects I may have, but at a time I handle one project, and in a given time I'm working for that. In the same day I may work on 4 projects, but at one time I'm doing one. So my mind should be fully in that. So through work I can attain happiness. Where I engage in the work that I'm doing, I do it with single pointedness. And if I find a higher purpose, nothing like that, like how management they say today, that you think beyond yourself, have goals which are above I, me and mine. So what is the impact of my work? If I can find out that, and I can derive my satisfaction that my work creates a transformation in this way, how it makes the life better for somebody, how it makes the world a better place to live, and I derive my joy from there, then there is so much that one can explore, do. stress will be put aside, one will feel happy. Second path is bhakti, surrender to the divine, anchor in something which is very, very deep. Whichever form one believes in, if that form or any other way, like you were saying earlier, Rajesh ji's passion is photography. So through nature, some people can connect to the divine through nature. Nature is the expression of the divine. Connect through that to the Supreme. Anchor in that key, I connect to the Supreme with this expression. Every day spend some time in emotionally anchoring in something within where nothing outside I am depending upon, and experience that quietude of the mind. And third is definitely through the path of knowledge. As I said in the beginning, study. As we study, introspect, discuss with like-minded people, we say satsang is so important. The more we have satsang, people think satsang means some bhajan is going on, some kirtan is going on, some katha is going on. Sat means that which is positive, which is inspiring, which is uplifting, and sang is company. So company of such people makes a very, very big difference. And in today's world, definitely company makes a lot of difference. If we keep company of the right people who are able to inspire us, whom we can look up to, or who even walk with us on the path, encourage us, motivate us, that company is a very, very powerful means to move ahead in this journey of life.
Well, thank you for that. That was giving those, few very easy to follow tips is definitely a great way to start.